Hey, Mike. Now that you've had a couple days, maybe just a thought digesting the East Semi.
Yeah, stinks. We should be practicing right now, or meeting at least, and getting ready for another one. That didn't work out that way. I thought Montreal came out on fire, played a real good game, and finished it off at the end when they had to.
Not asking for specifics, but could you give us kind of a general sense of the attitudes, the feelings of guys in their exit interviews after that loss?
Yeah, I can tell you exactly what it's like. I said this to a few people, but you lose, and the more you mull it over on the plane, and then you can't sleep, and the sky's falling, and then you show up, and your entire team is in the theater room, and say a couple words, and then all you hear is this gradual groundswell of conversation and camaraderie, and the guys stick around for 10, 12 hours just buying more time together, and you realize, yeah, we're all right. It's the bottom line is the sky isn't falling, and we'll be just fine. And we got a great group of guys in here that make sure of that.
So it sounds like, and I know you're not under contract for next year, but it sounds like you're optimistic heading into 2026. You don't see this as the end
Yeah,
of the
when
year or
you
anything like
talk
that.
to these players, they come. I think I got close to 40 meetings done yesterday. You take notes on them, and you just check in on the guys, and they're doing all right. Yeah.
As far as yourself, are you going into this off season as a quote unquote free agent? Is it a formality that you're
I think
coming
you
back,
understand
or-
the last decade or however long it's been. I can't remember how long it's been. I'll never talk about my contract status to the media. Like, I'm never going to negotiate in the media. So,
Oh, I'm not asking
Yeah.
you to negotiate.
Yeah.
Are you expecting to be back?
These conversations happen with myself and Wade and Kyle, shortly. So
So you're expecting it to be dealt with shortly?
I would think so.
And are you optimistic you'll be back?
I'm
or-
optimistic about everything.
So you could be optimistic about leaving, is what you're saying, potentially.
Oh, that's everything. Yeah, that's right. I didn't
That
count
counts.
that. Yeah, that counts. Good catch. No, I
just a pretty
expect to have
face.
some good conversations shortly.
Thank you.
Mike, for the fans that are clamoring for big changes to happen this offseason, whatever that may be, I take it you don't think that necessarily needs to happen.
I mean, there's always change. Every team is different. That's why, we say the same thing every single year. In training camp, it's a new team, and they have to figure it out with new people and a new plan. And it's always different. Do I believe in wholesale change? Never. I think what's led us to this point is continuity, right? So I'll never believe in wholesale change. But it's pro sport. There is always some, for what we believe in and what we've witnessed, the less the better.
Everyone in this room and everyone in the locker room knows you can't make it to the Grey Cup every single year, obviously. But Mike, what do you think went wrong this year, I guess?
Yeah, I think if it was any one thing, we wouldn't be standing here today, right? It'd be fixed. Yeah, I think at times, we were trying to get one phase going, and another time it'd be another phase, and then, some personnel changes, and just trying to get in a really good three-phase flow to get going. We just didn't string enough of those together, right? But I think there's also a part of me that says that question requires a little deeper dive into an off-season study as to, where things went, right? But our expectations are so bloody high, right? Like we expect to be in and have an opportunity to win Grey Cup every single year. That's never going to change.
Is there anything that you wish you would have done differently this year?
Oh, yeah, I don't need to spend a whole ton of time looking at the offseason, there's already a list. I think I absolutely could have been a better support system for the offense. I think I could have. I'm not going to design plays, but I think I could have been better with them and helped them out a little more. That's, if I were to look back, I'd want to be doing that.
Zach was saying yesterday that, he said we repped a lot of things in training camp that we didn't rep during the season. It just kind of felt like they never really.
Yeah, I think that's a bigger project than just me answering that right now. It's certainly something he brought up, and I wouldn't be a head coach if I didn't look into that. But that's a much longer study. I mean, obviously we have every single play we ran in training camp, and every single play we ran in the season, and it's something to look at.
I know you're not even under contract for next year, and I know with any first-year coach, first-year player, there's going to be growing pains, but did Jason Hogan show enough this year to warrant being brought back next year as a play caller for this team?
Yeah, he's a first-year OC, but he's a long-time coach, and he's one of the hardest-working guys you'll ever be around, right? So, yeah, he deserves the opportunity to have that conversation for sure, and to come back. But that's, once again, that's there requires more study and more conversation and some certainty, right?
Yeah. So is it all concerning, though, that players, throughout the course of the year and whatnot, they weren't exactly shy, kind of voicing their frustration with some of the play calling and decision making on the offensive side of things?
It's one of those things. I think the players, they all know when they say those things that I'm the one who has to clean all that mess up, right? I also think there was some frustration in their own level of play too, right? And they wanted things to go better, and it wasn't quite looking the way they wanted to look or what they expected. And there's always people are searching, especially at the beginning of the year. I thought for the first 5, 6, 7 games, I think the whole team was trying to search for something to grab onto and search for the identity and search for those 3-phase wins, right? So, but that does not concern me. I think they did a good job of coming together as a team, as the season went on.
Hey there.
Fraser?
Just revisiting your future just a wee bit, can you give fans any sense of where you plan or hope to be?
Well, we've been here for 12 years?
Yeah.
Haven't left yet.
So you don't hate it here.
Oh, my God. I've always said this is a great community.
Yeah.
People that just pass through don't understand it, but people that spend any amount of time here realize how good a city it is and a good community it is. And in terms of a sporting community, it's awesome, and the Bomber fans, especially throughout the province, are unbelievable. Across the country, the Bomber fans are unbelievable.
Does it ever cross your mind to take on a different challenge, a new challenge maybe, of trying to help turn around another team?
I don't offer myself a lot of time
Yeah.
to think about other things.
Busy.
Not busy, working.
Work. Yeah.
It's not busy, it's working.
Yeah. Following up a bit on what Taylor asked you, Zach saying that the offense felt weird right from training camp, and that, again, they rep plays that they never used, and they never found a play or two that you could count on when you needed it. And it also never felt like this team was developing this offense was developing into a cup contending type of cup caliber team. How does that happen? All those things, how do they happen?
I think that's an assessment at the end of the year, right? I think when you're in it, I don't think you're thinking that way. I think you sit back after, and that's the way he feels. And you have to respect that. I mean, Zach is one of the best quarterbacks super smart, one of the best quarterbacks to ever play in our league, right? So that's a conversation that I would have with him. I think there are some things that happened in training camp that made it a little more challenging, that's for sure. I mean, we were missing a piece on the staff for training camp, really, and that would have been, another added voice and another set of eyes that we were counting on that we just couldn't get here, and, you know. So I think that's a bit of part of it, but not to make excuses. It's, once again, I think it's a bigger study that takes a little more time, you know, going forward.
And a related question, whether the organization did everything it could to provide the tools to reach a home Grey Cup. We asked Zach, someone here asked Zach that.
Yeah.
He said that's a better question for you.
Yeah, Wade never says no, right? He's always, what do we need, what do we need, what do we need? We are bound by a cap, you know.
Did you spend to it?
That I don't know, but I'm sure we did come close. We generally do.
Should you even go over a bit when you're hosting a Grey Cup?
I think that's, you know, the idea, that concept that you're going to try harder because you're hosting, that's a fallacy.
You always try.
Yeah, we're always trying to win a Grey Cup. What's different from one year to the next? What's the same is a player's cap and an operations cap, right? So we're bound by those numbers.
So you don't look back and say, why didn't we do that? Why didn't we do this? You don't have to
Not
say
with any negativity. I think you always take a little look back to validate your process so that when you move forward, because you're always trying to move forward, when you move forward, are you keeping the same process? Are you making a few tweaks to it? What's your strategy? But you have to look at a little bit of history to see where you're going, you know, and to be able to plan that the next year. I think it's foolish not to look back a little bit, but it's not about, you know, creating any problems. It's about moving forward and making sure we got the best strategy going forward. Yeah.
Some players say they talked about that every day, trying to get to the Grey Cup here at home, reward their fans. So you're confident that that thought was uppermost in management's mind, and this team did everything it could
To
try
get to the
there.
Grey Cup?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never doubted that.
Yeah.
But we tried to get to the Grey Cup in 2014. We've been trying to get to the Grey Cup every single year. We managed it for a few years there, and we didn't on this one. It just so happens to be a home game, right? Which is very disappointing for everybody. But I don't think it was front of mind when you're playing. I don't think it's added pressure. And I don't think all of a sudden, like, what would we think if all of a sudden there's 10 times more the resources in one year than there was the previous 10 or 11?
I don't think anyone's thinking 10 times.
Well, whatever. More.
Didn't maybe just.
Yeah, there isn't. It's a capped league, right?
You've got Zach back. I assume a starting quarterback would be like a top priority roster-wise. Where's Brady in that mix, getting him back?
Well, obviously, he's arguably the best tailback in the league, right? We love his style. We love the way he plays. The hometown kid, not that even matters. He's just really, really good. So, yeah, that would be obviously a priority. We have a lot of good players in our football team, and a lot of young guys that got valuable experience that are good football players too, right?
On the salary cap thing, you guys used the one game a lot more than last year. Pardon me, in what could have been salary cap room used to have players that played and potentially improve the team. Why go that way? Why one game 5 times as many guys this year as last year?
Yeah, that's not my department. I don't know the strategy behind that. So
Yeah. That's all money on the salary cap, and as we're going toward, hey, we have a cap, which is, we have a soft cap, right? Okay. Support for the offense. From you, what would that have looked like? What do you hope that would have brought?
Yeah, better outcomes maybe. That's what you hope for, right? What it looks like, yeah, I don't know, on a daily basis. Do I pop my head into more meetings? Do I, like I said, I'm not designing plays. I've tried that. You should see when I design a play. Marty's not very happy because they usually don't work out so well. So, yeah, through training camp, when you're short, do we find a guy to come in and help? Like all sorts of things throughout the course of the season where I look back and go, yeah, you know what, I probably could have responded differently. Yep.
How big a deal is the coach's cap? If there was more on a coach's front office cap, however you want to describe it, would it substantially change coaching at this level? Or do you envision ways it would help the Bombers if that wasn't a thing?
I mean, off the top of my head, this is the first year we had 5 offensive coaches, right? Because the way the salary structured work with the staff we had, it allowed us to have a 5th. Well, if you had more money, you might have a 6th, or you could add pieces, to the puzzle that would take specific jobs off other people's plates and allow them to do more of the work that they're best suited for.
You mentioned meetings. Did you hear from players' frustrations with how the offense was?
No, like I said, I got almost 40 done, and it was more about the sense they got, the locker room, those kind of things, and their desire to be back.
Mike,
Ed,
how are you?
good.
How do you balance now the loyalty you have to some players versus the need that every team has to change from one year to next to get better?
Yeah, that doesn't change from 2019, from 2014 to 2025. Just because we're out of the playoffs in the first round compared to going to a Grey Cup, that doesn't change. It's always a balance, right? I love these guys, right? But we still have to put together the best team we can, and some of that will be out of our hands. Some guys will choose to go in a different direction. Some of it will be our decision. But you have to put some good work in this off season and figure out what your roster can look like and where you need to get better and where you're good and how you can fill positions of need if you think you have them, So it's a longer process for sure. The balancing, I don't know. It's pro sport. The point would always be you've got to consider the human, like these decisions they would be harder on any player, So, but we got a lot of good players, a lot of good players.
This might be a better question for Kyle, but I get asked a ton of times about Taylor Elgersma. What's the latest that the
Yeah,
club has had with him?
I'm sure he's waiting for another opportunity. Yeah.
Mike, are any of your assistants under contract for next season?
I gotta have a meeting with Brooke to find out all the contract statuses. I don't keep that up in my, it's not on my wall, right? So.
Yeah. And last one for me. With Buck obviously going to another team, having a ton of success, a vacancy in Ottawa, is there anyone on your staff who you think could be a good or would be a good candidate for that head coaching role?
Oh, yeah, a bunch. Yeah. I'm not gonna advertise for them.
Fair enough.
We've got a good staff. Lots of smart guys that go on and do whatever they want. A lot of guys could be very successful in other roles.
Mike, would you describe this season as challenging, or how would you kind of just describe this year?
Yeah, different, but I knew it was going to be different from the get-go, right? From the start of the offseason, we knew it was going to be different. Every season is, and it's always unique. So, I don't consider that necessarily challenging or harder, or just unique.
More so just how the season went, though. I mean, like, there'd be games where you guys played where it's like, okay, this looks like the Bombers team that's been to 5 straight Grey Cups.
Yeah, those are
And
exciting ones.
And then there are other games where
Yeah.
you could say they weren't as exciting, maybe.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm asking, did the season feel challenging when you were in the middle of it? Was there moments where it's
I
like,
think
oh,
for
man, this-
years, I think the answer's always been the same. We tend to focus on the truth, like why a play worked, why a play didn't work, why a series worked, why a defense worked, why it didn't, why the special team, why we won, why we lost. We focus on those facts, and so it's not really a mystery, right? Like from one game to the next, it can change, and you're looking for that consistency, but it's not necessarily mysterious to the guys in the room.
Last one, sure. Like it or not, you're the face of this organization. You're up here every day pretty much.
Isn't that dismal, that idea?
What do you say to fans who are concerned about the general direction?
They're absolutely entitled to their opinions, and once again, I think if they were in here every day, they would be less concerned. If they take a look at the fight from the third quarter, start of the third quarter on, they would be less concerned, right? They know the guys got it in them, and they take a lot of pride, and they take a lot of, they put a lot on themselves to put in the work, and they're not thinking about putting out a good product. They're thinking about playing really well. And I think the fans can recognize that the guys play hard, right? Mistakes happen, but they play hard all the time, so, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure that any of them are questioning that effort.
Yeah,
More a bigger picture thing of
sure.
good players leaving, not being replaced
Yeah.
properly. Good coaches leaving, maybe not being replaced.
Hey, like I said, we got great fans, and they're entitled to their opinions, and shoot, they sold out the stadium for whatever 14 straight times or whatever in the entire season. They buy the tickets. They are certainly entitled to have their opinions. I mean, the solutions are up to us to find.